This is going to be a quick lesson on resizing elements in Canva. There's only a couple ways to do that in Canva, but I know that this second way that I'm going to show you here in a second, I didn't know for, a while when I started on Canva, and it could have saved me a ton of headaches if I knew. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of this before you start this journey on trying to, master Canva and really start pumping out designs, because it's going to say another tip that's going to save you a lot of time. So obviously the most common way to resize an element in Canva is just going to be dragging from the corners, right? We all know that. It's the easiest way. It's probably the way you're going to use the most. And I mean the way I still use the most. But the one way that I'm showing you here that's really important is it's called scaling relative to the center point of the element. So let's say you have this element here and you just want to make it bigger, but you want it in this same position. And when you scale from the corners, you know, it thinks, this point isn't moving, but all three other points are moving outwards. And, that could be throwing off the alignment of your element. So if you hold down Alt on Mac, or I believe Option on Windows, and then you drag, so I'm holding down Alt, and then you drag one of the corners, it's gonna scale your element from the center point of the element. So you could see here, it's not really moving anywhere. It's just getting bigger from each side evenly. I hope that makes sense. So like, especially if you have this in the middle of your design, let's say, so this phone is now right smack in the middle of design. If you scale it from this corner, it's no longer in the middle or the center. But as soon as you hold Alt or Option and then you drag, it's still in the center and the middle of your design. So, that could be really useful too. Let's say we have these all grouped together and you just want to, make them a little smaller all around. Do that. It's just a better way to do it if you don't want your element to get moved out of position. Okay, this next lesson is going to be on changing colors in Canva, the couple ways you can do it, and then actually a tip on how to change all of one color to another color in Canva. So let's go over first the two ways you can actually kind of pick a color for one of your elements in Canva. The first being very basically select your element, whether it's the text or its background. We use the text for this. And just pick one of their default colors or colors that are used in the document already. If you have your brand kit, your brand colors will pop up here. And what's also cool is you can Canva will pick elements from pictures in your design, and you can also use that color. So you see like Eiffel Tower here, it picked up a couple of the blues, the browns, so you can easily click one of those and use that as a color. Well, let's say you wanted to be really specific about a color that you wanted to use. There's another way to do it, and it's by clicking this add a new color button here and then clicking the eyedropper tool. And now you can click on literally any individual picture from your design, whether it be in a picture or even just from an element, maybe like this, I don't know, this blue or something else. So let's just use, like, let's say this blue here on this bridge, we want to use that, and boom. And now it picks that color for you, and it's up here in your document colors, and you can use that in the rest of your design. Now, let's say you found a cool template on Canva, but the problem is it doesn't use, your brand colors or the colors you wanted to use. There's an easy way you can change all of the colors in a template at one time. So let's say, you want to change all these orange elements in your design to, let's say, yellow, right? So if you select one of the orange templates, click it to whatever color you want. In this case, we're using yellow. Down here, you'll see this change all button appear. And now if you click that, all of those orange elements will change to that yellow color. Now, sometimes it doesn't work for every element, or sometimes like you might think it's the same color orange, but they're really slightly different. So you'll have to do it again. Sometimes it's just, the text doesn't change. So you'll have to do it again, find that yellow and change all. And now you can see we easily change all of those orange elements to a yellow element. Now, the caveat being you have to be careful because it's going to change. Let's say in um, this template here, this other page of our design, if it had those same orange elements, those would also be turned to that yellow or whatever color you pick. So it's not just on the individual page you're working on, it's going to change that orange or whatever color you're changing for your entire project, right? So just really be careful with that because you may accidentally change one color and then 10 pages up in your design, all those colors got out of whack. Okay, in this lesson, I want to show you guys how you can filter your search results in Canva when you're looking for a specific element or image. And there's a couple ways I use this pretty often. One way is with elements. So as an example, let's say we're looking for like a particularly colored arrow, right? Let's say instead of like a white arrow, we want a static or an animated arrow in a certain color. You could, just, pick this arrow and change the color to whatever you want. But sometimes, like the animated ones, a lot of times you can't um, change the color of them just because because they're animated and maybe no other option to change the color. We'll give a couple other examples as well, but let's just use that as one. So let's say we want to look for an arrow, and here you could see on the right, you see this little filter section. You click that, you see the options here for orientation, if you want animated or not, a cutout only, which means it has a transparent background, price, and then color. So let's say you want to look for a static green arrow, for example. If you click off, now you'll see under graphics and photos, here's all the results. So if you click here, boom, there's a bunch of green arrows that you could use. And like some of these, I'm sure you can't change the color for, but even if you can, it just gives you, the option to already see what it would look like as a green arrow, what it may be looking for a recycling logo or something like that. So that's one way I use the filter section here. Or a lot of times I find specifically looking for an animated graphic, I'll type in the description of the graphic that I'm looking for, and I'll just click animate it, and it weeds out all the static ones. And then they have some other options, suggested options here if you want a red arrow, black arrow, whatever. But another way I use this a lot is looking up background images for graphics that I'm creating. So let's say we wanted to find a background in our brand color. So let's just take this square, which is like our purple that we use a lot. We've grabbed the color code here, and then let's go to the search results and let's look up background, and then click the filter section, choose the color, paste the color here, apply. And then when you go to photos, you'll see a ton of pictures here that use your brand color. So it's a lot easier than just scrolling through the photos section in Canva. You could just get right to the point and find images with your color that you're looking for in them. So I use this all the time to find like cool gradient backgrounds or, just abstract backgrounds for graphics. I just take whatever color that I want the background to be, I plug it in here, use the filter, and then I have a whole list of options to use as my background image or whatever the image, even if it's not a background. you could see here, I mean, it just keeps going, keeps going. There's some really cool options here, and you could save into your brand kit if you want. But yeah, guys, that's just a couple of examples of how I use the filtering function here on when you search for elements. And again, it'll give, like, if there's it's not just elements and photos. If there's stickers, graphics, whatever, it'll give you those videos. It'll give you those options as well based on what you filter for. So yeah, and that's all I have here, guys, for filtering your search results. Give it a try. See how you like it. Thanks again, as always, for listening.